Yo, what is up, everybody? It's Walker of Nothing with our podcast episode number 4, Just Who is the Traveler? For anybody that hasn't already seen these videos yet, this is my podcast series that I recently come up with. The Who Is, and insert popular gaming character name here. With slightly clickbaitish, thumbnails, of course. This series is pretty much dedicated to figuring out just who these characters are, down to what kind of clothes they wear, what their lore is, who they are, what they want to be in life, everything you can think of. So far we've been doing some, quite a few Genshin Impact characters, which have been more or less well received. So I do have plans of doing some characters from some other games later on. But I wanted to kind of get out the starting trio of Genshin Impact, the 3 characters you get at the beginning of the game, plus the Traveler. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump right in. So the Traveler is the playable protagonist of Genshin Impact. At the beginning of the game, both genders are twin siblings from another world, traveling throughout the universe until an unknown god blocked and captured one of them, and sealed their power to travel, leaving them stranded on Teyvat. They are accompanied by a travel companion named Paimon throughout their journey. Although players can choose the name they want to be referred by, the Traveler's sibling, whichever twin not chosen at the start of the game, refers to the Traveler by either Aether or Lumine, depending on the gender of the player's chosen twin, regardless of their custom name. So it doesn't matter what name you actually choose for them, the other sibling will always refer to them as the actual name that the Traveler has. The Traveler is a 5-star character. They use a sword as a weapon. They have no vision. Aether is the male twin, and Lumine is the female twin. The birthday of the Traveler is completely dependent upon, your own choice. And the constellation for the male Traveler is Viator, and the female is Beatrix. The release date for these 2 particular characters was September 28th, 2020. And their ascension pretty much requires Mora, these brilliant diamond silver and fragments and chunks and gemstones for their ascension, which you get those, I want to say you get those through the ascension quests, if I'm correct. I know that's one way to get them, and then of course Windwheel Asters and masks. I believe this is for their Anemo. Well, technically it's for their ascension regardless. The only thing that changes when you change their attribute is their attribute. Like so far we have a Nemo, Geo, and Electro. It carries over their level and everything. The only difference is you get constellations from each region, Mondstadt, Liyue, and Inazuma. So you'll essentially have them at C6 when you finish particular quests. The only thing that doesn't carry over is you have to upgrade their talents separately per, elemental form, which kind of makes that a little bit grindy, even though it already was. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like it says right here, elemental alignment. At the beginning of the game and in the Crux Clash during Autumn Wind Scarlet Leaves, the Traveler is unaligned, a special elemental relation exclusive to them. When unaligned, the color of the Traveler's vision in the character menu is gray, and the background in the character menu with the Traveler selected is also gray. Although profile lists their constellation properly as Viator or Beatrix, attempting to open the constellation tab will show a blank screen with constellation unavailable in the bottom right corner. When unaligned, the Traveler has only one talent, past memories, their normal/charged attacks. When unaligned, screens that show character cards with their elements show a gray no symbol in the place of the elemental symbol. Shortly afterwards, they will unlock their Anemo talents and constellations by resonating with the first statue of the 7 in Mondstadt. The Traveler can resonate with any other statue of the 7 they find and change their element to match the statue's element. See Teyvat for each region's element, of course. So yeah, when you first start out, you're unaligned, but once you touch, a statue of the Seven, you immediately gain access to the Anemo element. And the same is also said for Geo and Electro. Talents are kind of weird because they require different kinds of books per level. So they require Teachings of Freedom, Guide to Resistance, Guide to Ballad, etc., etc. I want to say this probably just ties into the fact that, they're just a very unique character, so they require different kinds of talent books. Of course, the Crowns of Insights is, of course, the same. But for their Anemo form, they do require the Dvalan Sai for talent levels approaching level 7 and beyond. And then, of course, each constellation activation requires, the Memory of Roving Gales for their Anemo form. And then they have separate constellation requirements for Geo and Electro, but it's essentially the same thing. You just complete particular quests and you get the constellations to unlock them. So, into the lore, which is the part we've all been waiting for. The Traveler lore. The Keeper is fading away. The Creator has not yet come, but the world shall burn no more, for you shall ascend. This is in-game character profile text. Don't lose faith in that which you have lost. In this new world, you will never be alone. Where you leave your footprints and where you have yet to stride, your new world will unfold before you. Welcome to a new world. The world you once knew is but dust, and the wonders you knew but rubble. Though you should have your own world and your own people, lamenting what is already lost. Those are a few more notes there. And in the contents here, we'll get into their personality, appearance, story, history, character stories, character details, stories 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Loom of Fate, constellation, character interactions, and trivia, and etymology, if that even matters. But let's jump into it. Personality. A traveler from another world who had their only kin taken away, forcing them to embark on a journey to find the Seven. In-game character attributes and profile page text. The traveler's personality is determined primarily by the player themselves through dialogue options. Their personality can range from stoic, humble, and helpful to boastful, lazy, and short-tempered. Regardless of the player's in-game decisions, all of the playable characters view the traveler in a positive light. There are instances of single speech options or similar options which give you a glimpse at their personality overall. They are, for example, observed by Paimon as not believing the gods are any more worthy of unearned respect than mortal inhabitants of Teyvat. They also are pointedly uninterested in getting involved with each nation's troubles, and primarily only concern themselves with finding out their siblings' whereabouts. Their response to Morax's death was initially to simply leave, both to avoid suspicion and seemingly a level of apathy considering the circumstances of their arrival on the world. This trend continues in Inazuma, where the traveler initially denies aid to the rebellion and refuses to take sides, interested only in meeting with the Raiden Shogun. The traveler is visibly frustrated, not wanting to meddle in the country's affairs or get involved with anyone, even for as simple as delivering a letter. Yet, despite this hesitation to get involved, they are ultimately a compassionate person, eventually choosing to aid the resistance against the Shogun's injustice after seeing the circumstances of each situation, particularly at the prodding of Kamasato Ayaka and Toma. Due to their experiences with the Fatui and the Abyss Order, the traveler is immediately on guard at the mere mention of them. They also show significant concern for their sibling, as their initial goal was to find them and get answers from the unknown god that sealed them away. Even after becoming aware of their position within the Abyss, they still ultimately resolve to follow their instructions and seeing the world for themselves. So the Traveler is an interesting character because regardless of the dialogue options you choose, more or less everybody sees the Traveler as a positive force for good. Their personality pretty much just ranges by whatever dialogue options you choose to make. So, I mean, it could, whatever you pretty much choose is how they, I guess, become. Though, I mean, with the way the plot is written, of course, they're not suddenly gonna just start axe murdering everybody or anything like that. So you don't have to worry about that. We hope, anyway. Moving on to their appearance, both siblings have blonde hair, fiery gold eyes, and slim builds with pale skin. During their fight with the unknown god, both siblings had glowing white clothing and yellow wings. After the player's chosen sibling will lose their white light, Aether's will turn a glassy black, and Lumine's will be a dull, but these pieces will light up once again after resonating with the statues of the Seven. The color will change based on which element they are resonated with. Their outfit, Rising Star, is described to be a practical set of clothing to wear during a long journey. For Aether is a taller, has a more vibrant, saturated shade of yellow-blonde hair than his twin. His hair is cut at somewhat medium length with uneven bangs at the front with waist-length braided hair at the back. Aether's color scheme primarily consists of black, gold, and white. He wears a dark brown breastplate vest with gold and black accents bearing his midriff and adorned with a diamond ornament, a white scarf clamped with a gold clip, and a white two-tailed cape lined with golden embroidery. He wears dark hakama-like pants, dark brown gloves, and black boots accented with gold. So, I mean, they be walking around like they just rich or something. I mean, all this gold they got, but I mean, if they really were gods and the theories are true, then I guess it makes sense. Lumine has pale blonde hair. Her hair is cut in a short and choppy bob with two longer shoulder-length locks of hair framing her face, with two light blue Intertavat flowers pinned to the right of her head and two pale blue feathers tucked at the left. Her color scheme consists of white, light blue, and gold. She wears a sleeveless, backless box-pleated white dress held up by crossed black straps. She wears a long two-tailed scarf with each tail having a gold, flat, diamond-shaped ornament attached to the tip of the tail. Her leg wear consists of angled thigh-high stockings and white angle-high boots. Yeah, for all you stocking fans out there, she does wear stockings. So that's pretty much the character appearances of both Aether and Lumine. Pretty much based on the description, they seem to be pretty well dressed. I mean, I guess it makes sense if they really are as old as, you know, the theories say they are, and if they really are some kind of ancient gods or whatever, it makes perfect sense why they, you know, would have the clothing that they do adorned with, you know, jewels and gold and whatnot. So the history: Aether and Lumine arrive in Teyvat, yet for some unknown reason, the player's chosen sibling does not wake and remained asleep for an unspecified amount of time. The traveler's sibling eventually manages to wake them up and says that they should leave, with both twins witnessing the destruction of Conria. However, an unknown god, describing herself to be the sustainer of heavenly principles, blocked their way. A fight ensued and resulted in one of the twins getting consumed by red cubes from the unknown god, and the other trapped in a seal which caused them to lose their powers. 500 years later, the traveler wakes up, separated from their sibling, and stranded. One day they accidentally fish out Paimon from a lake, saving her from drowning. So this is pretty much the intro of the game. You load up the game, and you see this epic fight scene where Aether and Lumine are fighting this unknown god with these cubes that she just be throwing at them. And this is when you get to choose which character you want, Aether or Lumine. In which case, after that brief cutscene, you end up in Teyvat, where you start your journey. Paimon would stay with the traveler and teach them the Teyvat language. To her amazement, it only took them 2 months to become a conversational speaker. After learning of how they got stranded on Teyvat at the start of the game, Paimon suggests they get in contact with the Seven in order to help the traveler look for their lost sibling. Along the way, the traveler resonates with a statue of the Seven, resonating with the Anemo element and allowing them to wield it despite not having a vision. The traveler's trip starts at Mondstadt, the City of Freedom, and meets Outrider Amber. Though Amber promises to help the traveler with looking for their sibling, They mention that they are currently preoccupied with storm terror terrorizing the city. They help out with the incident, which they find out was orchestrated by the Abyss Order, and learn that the bard Venti is actually Barbatos, or Barbotus, however you want to pronounce that, one of the seven, and the Anemo Archon. They also first encounter the Vatui and the Harbinger Signora here, who takes advantage of the situation to steal the Gnosis from Venti. They also learn that the Tsaritsa, the Cryo Archon and ruler of Snezhnaya, appears to have unknown motives. Venti apologizes as they know not the god who took their kin away, but suggests they head to Liyue to meet with Morax, the eldest of the seven, and the Geo Archon, who may be able to provide them with answers. So, from here, the Traveler meets Outrider Amber. Storm Terror is kind of, causing chaos. This is when they also run into the Abyss Order. They meet the Fatui. Signora shows up and swipes Venti's Gnosis like she owns the place. And we get a brief mention of just who the Tsaritsa is, which all we know at this point is that she's the Cryo Archon and the ruler of Snezhnaya. In which case Venti pretty much tells him, like, look, I don't know who jacked your sibling, but you should probably, head down and talk to Morax. He's the eldest of the seven, and he's also a Geo Archon, so maybe he knows more. So at Liyue, the Traveler and Paimon attempt to meet with Morax at the Rite of Dissension, only for him to inexplicably die, and are subsequently made a suspect due to being foreigners. They are able to escape with the aid of another Harbinger, Childe, who suggests they meet with the Adepti to resolve the issue. He introduces them to Zhongli, a consultant at the Wangxing funeral parlor, who can bring them to Morax's exuvia, or the corpse. Childe's assistance is later revealed to be a ruse as he attempts to steal the Gnosis from the exuvia, but finds that it's already gone. He then breaks the ancient god Osile out of Morax's binds, but with the help of the Liyue chasing and Adepti, they manage to repel the ancient god. Only after resolving the issue do they learn that Zhongli is actually the Geo Archon, that he was retiring from his position and thus orchestrated his fake death with La Signora, whom he made a contract with. He hands over his Gnosis to her as per their agreement. As the Fatui leave, Zhongli tells the Traveler to head to Inazuma. So at this point, they get to Liyue. Morax supposedly dies. A Fatui Harbinger helps the Traveler escape, and because, of course, everybody that's there is suspected, they meet the consultant of the Washing funeral parlor to help them. Child just jumps the gun, wants to, be the big bad Fatui Harbinger, so he breaks out Osile out of Morax's binds. But then the Qixing and the Adepti actually work together for once to solve the problem, push them back. Zhongli sees that the people can actually protect Liyue without him, because he made a contract with Li Signora to see if he would have to step in and save them or not, and they were able to work together and solve their own problems, so he gave her his Gnosis and retires as the god of Geo. That way, he sees that his people can go on without him and he doesn't need to rule over them, and so that's what he does. While waiting for the chance to do so, they are recalled to Mondstadt, where they meet with Dainsleif, who wishes to stop the Abyss Order. Dainsleif warns them against siding with the Archons, mentioning how the gods were the reason why Conria was destroyed. During this time, they stop a plot in which the Order was attempting to mechanize Osile to do their bidding. Unexpectedly, they manage to run into their sibling, but are attempting to mechanize, but are shocked to learn that they lead the Order. They attempt to convince their siblings to leave Tevat with them, but the sibling refuses, mentioning that they still have a war to fight in. The sibling instructs them to continue traveling to Tevat so they can experience the truth firsthand before leaving, with Dainsleif chasing after them. The Traveler attempts to follow, but is shut out. So at this point, they met up with Dainsleif. He pretty much tells them, hey, these Archons are bad news. They're the reason why Conria ended up as a nuclear barbecue, and you probably shouldn't trust them. They managed to find their sibling, but then they find out that they're actually the head of the Abyss Order, which is like massive like plot twisting here. Like, oh my god, Mihoyo, what were you thinking? And so not a whole lot to talk about there, but they try to follow after their traveler, but they end up leaving, and they pretty much tell him, hey, you know, check out the world, see the truth for your own eyes, and we'll meet again, pretty much. And they disappear. You can't follow after them. So afterwards, back in Liyue, the traveler tries to meet with Zhongli to get answers regarding the truth about what happened in Conria. However, he says he is bound by contract to not speak of it. With help from the Crux crew, the traveler is able to bypass the storm and arrives in Inazuma, where they witness the land in chaos due to the Vision Hunt degree, the Saku degree, and a civil war between the Shogunate and the Resistance. Hearing of their feats in the other nations, Kamisato Ayaka and Toma attempt to persuade the traveler to help, but are shut down, saying that they are only here to meet with the Electro Archon and nothing else. Ayaka agrees to help them meet with the Shogun, but instructs them to first see victims of the Vision Hunt degree, after which they agree to help with the war. They soon join the Resistance based on Watsasumi Island, after meeting the Shogun and nearly being killed by her in the process. In their journey, they meet with the Guji of the Grand Nakarumi Shrine, Yaimiko, who reveals that the Shogun is actually just a robotic puppet, and that the Archon they are looking for, resides inside it. They soon learn that the chaos in Inazuma was caused by the Fatui, and confronts Ignora, defeating her in a duel before the throne, and witnessing her death at the Shogun's hands. The Shogun then tries to cut them down as they leave Tenoshuakuko, but the timely arrival of the Resistance allows the traveler to confront Ai once more and defeat her with the aspirations of the seized visions, prompting her to abolish the Vision Hunt degree. With the chaos resolved, Yai thanks them for their assistance, however mentions that they have no idea about the traveler's sibling, nor the unknown god, and advises them to make their way to Sumeru. So pretty much, they get to Inazuma, everything's in chaos, visions are being stolen, you got, a civil war between the Resistance and the Shogunate. The Fatui, of course, are involved, because why wouldn't they be? And Lee Signora, of course, gets her rear end handed to her by us, and then the Raiden Shogun ends up killing her because, when you duel at the throne, the loser dies. That's how it works. There's no getting out of it. Like, the loser, they get cucked. I mean, that's just how it works. And that's pretty much all we know really about the Traveler at the moment, more or less. Condensed version. Character stories, character details. The Keeper is fading away. The Creator has not yet come, but the world shall burn no more, for you shall ascend. So we do have only a couple character stories, because not all of them are available yet, because we're still progressing through Genshin Impact. So I might end up making a part 2 video later, with more information as it comes. But for now, we have character story 1. A boy and a girl stood amidst the tumult under an unfamiliar sky. You were a pair of traveling twins, passing through countless worlds during your journey. Descending upon a continent named Tavat, you hoped that you would be able to enjoy your time here. But as you awoke among the falling stars, you saw the world in turmoil, a cataclysm raging across the land. You sought to leave this place and move on to the next world, but then an unknown god stood before you, barring the way. This deity was spotless, floating over a world of chaos. Looking down on you, the god took your only kin away, and you were sealed and cast into a deep slumber filled with nightmares. When you reawakened, the world was changed. The flames of war raged no longer, and nothing was left that looked familiar. How long had you been asleep? You had no answers. Thus, you began a lonely journey, seeing the deity that you had once laid eyes upon. And that's pretty much an introduction of kind of like flashback memories and how the game kind of came to be. The first paragraph, I want to say, kind of ties into the Dainsleif quests, where you kind of start to get a rough idea of what exactly Conria was and why it feels familiar, and all the references that they make in game. And then, of course, the second paragraph is pretty much describing, the beginning of the game. Character Story 2, which can be unlocked after completing Song of the Dragon and Freedom. After that, you met Paimon and wandered together for some time. You learned that this world has 7 deities who rule the 7 nations as the 7 Archons. Your first stop was the free city of wine and song, Mondstadt, a city built by the Anemo Archon. As you stepped into Mondstadt as an outlander, it was, as the other nations were, beset on both sides by non-human and human threats. The non-human threat was conspired of the confederacy known as the Abyss Order. The human threat, on the other hand, stemmed from the ambition of the Tsaritsa, god of Snezhnaya. The Abyss Order has corrupted an ally of the Anemo Archon, the Dragon of the East of the Four Winds of Mondstadt. The envoys of Snezhnaya, for their part, use this opposition to the Abyss as an excuse to put pressure on Mondstadt. These threats from without and within caused the return of the Anemo Archon, who took on the form of a bard and joined you in your journey to save the dragon. Yet there was something then that you did not see, for as the dragon fell to the abyss, a certain figure had been reflected in its eyes. The one who rules the abyss. The one who had once traveled with you, and you had once crossed many worlds together. Now talk about some creepy stuff right there. Like, oh boy. But that's it on that. Like, there's no more character stories available. When more information does become available, I'll probably make like short addendum videos. But we can go ahead and get into stuff like the trivia, just to give this video a little bit more substance. Both Aether and Lumine are shown wielding the Ascended version of the Silver Sword in their character cards and portraits, and the Dull Blade in their cutscenes. In the opening cutscene with the Unknown God, the siblings are shown wielding white and gold swords. Aether's sword had a cruciform guard, and Lumine's sword had a crescent guard. While the player's in-game nickname can be changed, the traveler is addressed by their default name, Aether/Lumine, by their sibling during the We Will Be Reunited. The Traveler is currently the only playable character who does not have a third passive talent, has no affiliation listed on their profile, has their vision listed as none on their profile, has no friendship level listed in attributes, their story passages are unlocked by completing certain Archon quests, does not appear in the character archive at all, has their constellation levels unlocked through memories as opposed to Stella Fortunas, which are obtained for other characters from wishing. As a result, neither the male nor female traveler have wished artworks, something that is also unique to only them. The traveler was initially the only playable character who was completely unavailable through wishing as of version 2.1. Alloy is also unavailable through wishing. However, unlike the traveler, Alloy does have wish artwork viewable from the character archive. Though the traveler does not possess a vision, they are still able to use the power of the 7 elements by resonating with the statue of 7. And do not require the respective Archon's permission to do so. The traveler's clothing will glow with the color of the element they are resonating with, teal for Anemo, yellow for Geo, and purple for Electro. When unaffiliated with an element, those parts will instead be white. At one point during the battle against Childe, the traveler manages to both use Anemo and Geo regardless of their resonated element. Starting in version 2.0, pre-rendered cutscenes and hangout memories usually have the traveler match the region's element instead of the player's preference. The traveler uses different means from other characters to obtain materials used for Ascension and Constellations. Ascensions require brilliant diamonds, which are obtained through adventure rank rewards. Constellations, which are maintained separately for each element, require memories, which are obtained through various means, including adventure rank rewards, quest rewards, and the souvenir shop or similar of the respective city. In the Traveler's Chinese official introduction, as well as the first official art book, their profile's constellation parameter reads a constellation of life pseudo, which is not found on any other character's profile. In game, the Traveler's constellation parameter is named the same as everyone else's. Despite their youthful appearance, the Traveler descended on Teyvat 500 years ago and has been traveling between different worlds for an unknown amount of time before that, making them older than they look. In a developer video regarding Ajdaha's design, one developer mentions that the Traveler's lifespan is by no means short. A running gag in the game features the Traveler hoping to drink alcohol, only to be rebuffed, probably on account of their youthful appearance. However, in earlier parts of the story, the Traveler actually refused drinks offered to them by citing that they are underage. As such, a select few characters are aware the Traveler comes from outside Teyvat. Barbados, Morax, and I are aware of the Traveler's origins, likely due to their status as one of the seven. The other Archons are likely aware of this too. Vishal is somehow able to determine this without any logic. Mona determines this through her astrology. Albedo compares himself similar to the Traveler while also discerning this through their ability to use multiple elements without a vision. Similarly to Albedo, Kahadria Kazuha also notes that the Traveler is capable of using multiple elements without a vision, while also commenting to them that they have an incredibly complex smell that he compares to a mysterious being. The Chinese version of the opening cutscene trailer is titled Luminescent Lights in the Aether, which incorporates both Aether and Lumine's default names. Diluc's voiceover suggests that the Traveler is skilled in playing chess. According to the Chinese, Japanese, and Korean pronouns, the twins used to address each other in the opening cutscenes and in later interactions. Aether is the older twin and Lumine is the younger. The English translation does not make distinction on which is the older/younger twin. As children, both the Traveler and their sibling had imaginary friends. The Steambird's Teyvat Food Notes columnist, Longueur, is a rendition of Aether. See Teyvat Food Notes and trivia for details. According to Yunjin, the Traveler likes rock and roll. In the Commission Quest archery demonstration, it is revealed that the Traveler is proficient at archery. The Traveler is known by these aliases or titles: Mondstadt's Honorary Knight, Knights of Pavionis, Honored Guest, Liwei Qixing and Tri-Commission, Comrade by Tartaglia, Girly/Buddy by Tartaglia, Captain of the Watasumi Island Special Operations Unit by Kokomi, Mr. Nice Guy/Miss Nice Lady by Tusser, My Liege by Xingzhou, Cutie by Lisa, Swordfish 2 Captain by Sengogomiya Kokomi and her army, Illustrious Traveler by Sumidia, The Superstar of the Knights of Pavionis by Venti, The Hero of Mondstadt by Amber, Yellow Fur by Kikobushi, Golden Whirlwind by Kayabake Aike, Two-Legged One by Zamarin, Little One/Little Friend by Yaimiko, My Little Helper by Yaimiko. Etymology: the English name Aether is the name of the fifth element in ancient and medieval science, which fills the universe beyond the terrestrial sphere. In Greek mythology, the god Aether was a personification and god of the clear upper sky which embodies the air that the gods breathe. The Greek word Aether, both modern and ancient Greek, also means sky. In Chinese, Japanese, and Korean, his name is Sky, Air, Void. In Buddhism, this word is used to denote the concept of sunyata, which has multiple meanings but generally relates to the lack of intrinsic, permanent existence or nature. In the Japanese Godai philosophy of the five elements, which is based on both Buddhism and the Chinese Wuxing elements, void is the highest of them. In English, lumine is of Latin origin and means light. In the Chinese version, Ying means luminous or bright. In Japanese, her name is Hotaru, which means firefly. Their constellations Viator or Viatrix are both Latin for traveler. The terms are the masculine and feminine forms of the word. The Chinese name for their constellation also means traveler. And that pretty much does it for the lore that we have on the Traveler so far. But they'll add more as we progress more through Genshin Impact. I'll probably do a follow-up podcast episode, just because, I'm really curious myself as well. Of course, we know their outfit name is the Rising Star, which is for the Traveler. It's their default outfit, and it's unlocked upon obtaining the character. In version 1.0, the character released with the default outfit. And in version 1.6, they added the default outfit name and description for anybody that actually cares. But yeah, that's pretty much close to the end of it. All we have left is voiceovers, which is practically just, you know, general banter about different characters and whatnot. But it doesn't look like any of the other characters really have anything to say about Lumine. Like, if you go to their voiceover lines, there's not like really any lines. It's almost like all the characters have opinions about other characters in their voiceovers, but not about Aether or Lumine. I don't know if that's intentional or if they're just uniformly have the same kind of opinion that they formed. I have no idea. But that's pretty much the end of this. I'm not sure how long we've been recording. I think it's probably almost 40 minutes. Not bad for a podcast episode. I didn't know if there would be enough information on Aether and Lumine since their characters progress constantly, but it looks like we do. If you've made it this far, I appreciate it. I try to, you know, stick to the facts when it comes to these podcast videos, and I really appreciate everybody that listens to them. If you want to check out my other social medias, Twitter, Twitch, of course, my YouTube's obviously in there. My Patreon, the artists that work on my general art and my podcast art are also in there, as well as all the links to where I create my thumbnails, the text for them, the music I use in my podcast as well will be in there, as well as the outro. And one other thing, if you would like to pledge to my Patreon, you'll be able to get to see these podcast episodes early access before anybody else does. And of course, other perks as well, you know, Discord roles and whatnot. And if you want to like the video, if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, leave a comment on what you want to see next, or how I can improve, or how you think I'm doing, or if I'm doing bad. And of course, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, because it really helps me out and it tells YouTube that, hey, I'm doing something right. So with that, I will catch y'all in the next episode, and I hope to see you next time. Peace.